Shalom. Welcome to day 7 of an attitude of gratitude. Shalom. I hope you had a great night's sleep or a great night's rest. Happy New You. So, today, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? What are the 5 things that you are grateful for today? So, my number one thing is, and I don't know, I woke up and had certain words on my mind and I wrote them down. And then as I was writing them down and my thought process was going, I came up with the other ones. So today, the first thing that I'm grateful for is restoration. So I thank God for restoration. And the thing that we always hear, and I don't know if you heard this before, that if you melt like a Snickers candy bar, you melt a candy bar and then you put it in the fridge for it to be solid again because you accidentally left it in the car somewhere where it got heated and it melted some, that it's never restored to the same way it was. It's still solid. You can still eat it. It still probably tastes the same, but it doesn't look the way that it looks when it comes fresh off the conveyor belt, like when you first open it, when you got it and it hasn't melted at all. So I thank God for restoration because unlike that Snicker bar, God can restore us to the place that we were and better. So just looking at if anybody has heard the story of Job, he is a perfect example of restoration, what God can do to restore things in your life. So I thank God for restoration. The second thing, and I wrote on my list, so I'll be looking at my list. I thank God for forgiveness. I thank God for the forgiveness that He's given us and the forgiveness He's given us to give to others. So not the just the ability to be able to forgive others, but also because of course, we've done some things that are not kind. We've done some things that were not right. We've done some things that we need to be forgiven for. So I thank God for forgiveness, both me being able to forgive others and others being able to forgive me and God being able to forgive me for the things that I've done. So everybody is not perfect. They have not led a perfect life. And you've done some things to wrong a person, whether you know it or not. And I thank God for forgiveness because sometimes when we wrong a person, they never tell us that we've wronged them. And I thank God for the ability for me to be able to forgive others and them to be able to forgive me. I thank God for that. So the third thing I thank God for today is multiplication because addition just don't be adding up. So I thank God for multiplication. And the reason I say I thank God for multiplication because even when you think about how generations go, your just ability to create is multiplication. And also thinking about multiplication and the thing that I looked at is when you take a positive and you multiply it times a negative, it's going to come out a negative number. And so in that, that's the reason why I like to be like I talked before about being around positive people, because when you multiply times a positive, it's always a positive and it's always greater. And so I found myself in a relationship before where I was a positive person and that person was a negative person. And just like in multiplication, I started to become negative instead of that person becoming positive. So that's a reason, the biggest reason why I speak about being around like minded people, being around positive people, being around those who are going to speak life into you and build you up, instead of being around those naysayers and those negative Nancy's and negative Nates. So forgive me if your name is Nancy or Nate and you're not negative. So I just believe in that multiplication process because I've seen it. And also, when you have growth, God has a way of multiplying for you. And I thank God for that because I operate in a way and I do my best to operate in that way to receive that multiplication. And I've been seeing that because the people that even and I'm always going to talk business because that's what I look at all the time and that's what I'm looking to grow. When you operate in your business, if you have 10 clients and 10 of your clients have 10 friends that can shop with your brand, but all they need is to hear something good about your brand from those clients that you've already serviced. Each client can get you 10 more customers. So if you have 10 clients and they get you 10 more customers, there is your example of multiplication. And there is your example of full bookings, appointments, whatever business you do, that it equals more customers for you. So that's what I thank God for, multiplication. So the next thing I thank God for is transformation. Like God has a way of God has a way of just taking your life and making it so much better than it was. And you put in a lot of times you put in work, but you don't put in as much. You can't transform yourself as much as God can. And just the ability of doing that doesn't lie on you. Once you give it over to God, that's what I've been doing, just giving it over to Him. So here's what I have, and I know you can make something of this. So I always, I don't know, think about, and if you saw Friday, if you haven't saw Friday, where she sends him to the store and she said, make it enough. God has a way of making it enough. So I thank God for that. So restoration, transformation, just being able to transform you into something new by doing the work on you, helping you through it. You do have to give something. You do have to put some work in. You do have to be efficient. You do have to be diligent. You do have to put the work in, that time. So if you're putting the time in, you're putting the effort in, you're being consistent, God is going to bless that, and you're going to see a transformation, because the transformation takes place in the work that you're doing. So as you're seeking, as you're doing, as you're exploring, God is going to bless that, and you're going to see the transformation. So that is one reason why it's a great idea to do a journal, because in that journal you're going to see how God has transformed your life. You're going to see the transformation right before, like as you read the pages, you're going to see how much you transform. You're going to see how blessed you've become, how much restoration you had, how much grace you've had, how much favor you've had. So I thank God. The fifth thing that I thank God for today is mercy. And I thank God for the times that I've received blessings where you don't even understand where those blessings have come from. You don't even understand how you were chosen for that blessing. And one of the instances where I had mercy, or I had a blessing that I didn't even know where it came from. And I was in high school, and I received a letter in the mail saying you were nominated to attend this conference for the young leaders of the world, like the young leaders of the United States. So I went to this conference, and there were high school students from all over the country that were there. And we were able to go to the White House. We were able to go and sit in the city seats where they met at. We were getting tours. We stayed in this living quarters where we all stayed, and we had roommates and stuff like that. That was something I was able to do in high school. I have no idea till this day who nominated me for it. I have no idea to this day how I was awarded that, but I was able to experience that at a young age. And when you experience something like that at a young age, being exposed to all of these different people, this type of experience, this type of, when I say, it almost seemed as if we were the actual real, like, delegates and president and vice president, because the way we were transported, the way that the people who were the security were dressed, they had the, like, Men in Black type of thing, the thing that you see, the way the security detail is dressed when you see the mayor being escorted, when you see the president being escorted, the black cars, they gave us all of that. We had the full experience of what it would be like if we were actually part of the judicial system, part of the Senate or the House, or a president, we got to feel what that was like when we were there and sit in the actual seats and all of that stuff. So I thank God for like the mercy that's been given to me for and those different things have been worded to me when I didn't necessarily feel that it was something that I should have gotten because I didn't know where it came from. And that's how God gives us mercy. He gives us things that we don't necessarily deserve. But because of his favor, his grace, and his mercy, we end up having those things. So, what are a list of 5 things that you are thankful or grateful for in our attitude of gratitude journey? This is day number 7. Thank you for taking this journey with me. I know that you guys are going to go out here and do some things today. All that I ask you to do is just don't go out here and do it as you get your ass out of here and get you some hand crack. If you have more than one person who lives in the household, I am going to warn you right now. Warning, warning, warning. Your hand crack is the most stolen item in the household. I don't want to say stolen, but it's taken. So once somebody finds out how great the product is on their skin and they start to feel that silky, soft, supple, smooth skin, it's getting jacked. So if you have more than one person in the household, I would advise you to buy one for the other person in the household or the other persons in the household, or just get a bigger jar, because I want you to be able to keep your ash away. But once you bring it into the household, it just might be snuck out of your room or the place where you kept it because they enjoyed it so much. I love you guys. Have a great day. Shalom.